It's a problem I find, living a life that I can't leave behind. There's no sense in telling me the wisdom of a fool won't set you free. That's the way that it goes, it's what nobody knows, while every day my confusion grows. Every time I see you falling, I get down on my knees and pray. I'm waiting for that final moment to say the words that I can't say. I feel fine and I feel good. I feel like I never should. When I get this way, I just don't know what to say. Why can't we be ourselves like we were yesterday? Well, I'm not sure what this could mean. I don't think you're what you seem. I admit to myself, if I hurt someone else, I'll never see just what we're meant to be. Every time I see you falling, get down on my knees and pray. I'm waiting for that final moment to say the words that I can't say. Every time I see you falling, get down on my knees and pray. I'm waiting for that final moment to say the words that I can't say. Every time I see you falling, get down on my knees and pray. I'm waiting for that final moment to say the words that I can't say. Every time I see you falling, get down on my knees and pray. I'm waiting for that final moment to say the words that I can't say. YouTube down. What's going on, family? Good to see you guys in here. It looks like people were actually notified tonight.
Thank you, YouTube. Man, I sure appreciate this platform and you guys being a part of this with me. I'm excited about, I'd say pretty much every night, but with tonight, I'm going to try to wrap up the transhumanist discussion, which is what we're into our 6th show. So this is 12 hours, 11 hours. And it occurred to me when I left here and went to the after party, engaging with the atheist dinosaur person. You know, it doesn't matter how much logic or reason or evidence, people are really sold out to what they believe, and that's discouraging for me, because my goal is to try to open up your mode of perception, to get you to believe that the bad guys have spun a narrative about your reality that has forced you into a sickly, defeated existence. Now, that's not everybody. I understand some people are very happy, but overarchingly, we're experiencing a fraction of the reality that we could be experiencing. And I think this is by design. And, I obviously brand and talk at length about the certified conspiracy idea. And, what everybody's experienced this last year has really changed the idea of conspiracy and kind of mainstreamed it a little bit. And, it's like conspiracy fact. You're hearing these kind of things. And so many people are waking up to this narrative that we're being lied to. But so few of those people are actually willing to look at the depth of the lie. This is what we've been covering in this series. Like almost a dozen hours of just inaccuracies, falsifiable scientific claims. And the thing that's scary is when you point it out, the people don't go, thank you. They go, don't attack what I believe, right? People have a lot invested in this reality. People have a lot invested in this. I mean, decades, 12 years of schooling, 16, 20 years of schooling, everything they've seen. So like you go, hey, it sucks that you believe this. It's really not your fault. Like you were lied to when you were a kid, and that sucks. And so having that discussion with that person, I don't want to say it was discouraging. It was just eye-opening that have you ever had a friend that's in a toxic relationship? Like a really toxic relationship, like emotionally or physically abusive. I've got many friends. I've been in them myself. And you go and you talk to this friend and you go, hey man or woman, this sucks. Like I know you've got a good heart and you're being misused, but look, the reality is you have to get out. Like you just have to cut your losses, right? You have to go, okay, I perpetuated that for way longer than I should have. And it's going to hurt to get out. But like, if you've been in a relationship for 3 years with someone and you go, well, I can't get out now. It's been 3 years. Well, what's that going to look like in 6 years and in 8 years? And very few people that you approach with this, hey, you're in a toxic relationship. You deserve more. I understand you've got trauma brain. I understand you have whatever that's, attaching you to this, but you got to get out. And very few people go, thanks. Thank you for that. They want to fight you, right? And this is what I experienced last night talking with this individual. It's just the truth doesn't matter. It's just so deeply ingrained and so undeniably connected to what you perceive as your successful place in society that combination, you've got so much invested in this idea, and your worth as it relates to the group, the tribe, is really based on how complicit you are with this idea, right? And this isn't an accident. This isn't an accident that this is how people perceive this and approach this. You know, when you win, when you beat your enemy, if you're in like a mind game, when you get them to think that the thoughts they're having are their own, that's when you've won. And then when somebody approaches them with truth or something that, questions their world system, and the response is, get away from me. I'm happy in my toxic bubble. You just got a bad situation. So I'll boil that diatribe down to it's a bad situation. And right before I went on, one of our dear friends in this VOR community shared a video about how her husband is in the military, and she's been talking to him about concerns about the what, and we knew the decision was coming. We talked about it months ago, and as a group, we prayed about it. Like, what is he going to do? She encouraged him to not. Healthy young man took it, immediately had issues, was in the ER, almost died. She had advocates inside of this. He, through her managing and helping, they had advocates through this process, doctors, nurses, whatever. And the doctors and nurses, apparently, I would say the bad ones wanted him to expire. It was like, okay, it's part, you just add to the casualty to keep building the momentum of what this thing is. And then there was other ones who, said, no, we got to protect this person. And nobody was talking about how it was an adverse reaction to this. And so this individual, in order to keep his career, did the thing that he wasn't sure he wanted to do. And now he's doubling down and saying, I did the right thing. And she's like, dude, you almost died. Yeah, but I got to do this thing. And like, what would cause someone to go back to that instead of going, wow, I was hurt. I made this decision. I trusted the system, and now I'm hurt. What? No, they go back to, nope, it wasn't that. It was something else. Sure, I've never had a heart issue my entire life. Now this happened, but just a fluke thing. And you go back and you protect the system. And this is a military person, which is basically all that's left in the military, unfortunately, right now at this point, is people who will not question the system. I showed that clip multiple times in the Matrix. So dependent, so helplessly dependent on the system that they've been rendered inert. And how we got here is why I'm doing this series on scientism. We are in a reality that is so much more complicated than the reality that you were led to believe that you were in. There may not be objective reality. That's what they're figuring out quantum physically. So then why are we taught this thing? Why are we taught strict adherent philosophic materialism and that we're all just animals and whatever? And the answer I'm going to detail tonight is an agenda to get people to make the kinds of decisions like the one I just mentioned, to keep parents putting their kids in school. And let me tell you something, if you don't know this, you will be forced soon, mark my words, in order to keep your kid in public education, they're going to have to receive an experimental thing that children aren't affected by the virus. They're not. Thank God, by some miracle, they're not. And the antidote, the treatment, is hurting children, myocarditis, all kind of other issues. And you're going to have to choose if you're going to really separate or double down. And when they come after the children, we're past the point of no return. So starting off heavy, and I apologize. Those of you guys on TikTok, good to see you. Like the message says there, if you hit the link and come over to YouTube, we've got our group over there. I do a screen share, which I'm about to get into. And if not, you can definitely watch here. And when I go to screen share, you can watch me watch the screen share. So I love the TikTok group too. And then after this discussion, we're going to go 1 hour from now. Hopefully, we go back to TikTok for the after party. So I'm going to say hi. Phone is dying. Hearts are cold. Some just don't want to hear. Shalom. Cairo. Hello, Johnny Righteous. Ashley VOR fam. Amen. Good to see you guys. Successful indoctrination, unfortunately. That's really where we're at. Let's see here. Dust off your sandals and move on. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm not at all like it was just sobering for me. I've been hanging out with the family. We talk through Discord, we talk on here, and I've been in a little bit of a bubble and just running back into it. I love that dialogue. I love sparring with someone. The conversation ended on the fine-tuning argument. And in the fine-tuning argument, my question to the person was, because he was saying there's no God, clearly there's no God, I have to prove there's God, whatever. And I said, well, what is the most likely solution for the fine-tuning argument? That there's a creator or the scientific narrative? What's the scientific narrative about the anthropic principle? And he didn't know. And the scientific answer for the anthropic principle, for those of you keeping score at home, is that the reason the universe is perfectly fine-tuned is that we're one of an infinite number of universes, and we just happen to be in the right one. Every other possible scenario played out in this comic book goofball narrative that they have, there wasn't just one Big Bang. There's an infinite number of Big Bangs, and we happen to be in the one that's perfect. We're Goldilocks. And if that is more feasible to you than and designing factor, I'm not telling you which designing factor to believe. I believe in God of the Bible. That's my choice. I think evidence lines up to that. I don't want to say I don't care if you don't believe, because that's not necessarily true, but like, God talks and his children hear his voice. So whatever. I'm sorry if you don't hear it, or clean out your ears. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Evidence doesn't matter. It's just this, and this is why. Okay. So picking back up where we left off. Wow, Jonathan, I didn't know that. He says that some soldiers already have the Neuralink brain implant. Jonathan, it's as though you've read my notes. This talk is going to end in, if I execute it correctly, in transhumanism, because that's where this goes. We finally find out through transhumanism and the metaverse that Zuckerberg is introducing that the whole point of this narrative is a total repurposing of God's reality and moving us away from God's order entirely into a man-made, probably fallen angel-driven, synthetic technoverse. There's that word. Okay, so where we left off, and I'm just going to kind of wrap up with the craziness of evolution and what they teach, and then what the data says. The data say, I never know how to pluralize that or whatever. This is just my last couple points. I was going to cover them last night, so we'll get through these really quickly. And then we're going to get into the bigger, scarier kind of conspiracy side of this. So the window I'm going to share is this one. Okay. So over and 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 over in this, you find out that science was wrong. And that happens, right? And that's good science is that way. Good science would say, hey, we were wrong there. We took a shot at it. We made a guess and ran a theory and it didn't turn out. But that's okay, because I'm going to be a rigorous skeptic and I'm going to go back to the drawing board. This is one of my issues with evolution. The person says, you don't believe in evolution. I believe in microevolution. I believe in adaptation, but I don't believe in macroevolution. I don't believe that the theory of evolution explains the creation of and development of life at all. I don't believe it at all. And I'm doing a 10-hour series on that. So if you were scientifically, intellectually honest, and you kept finding all of this information that contradicted what you believed, like soft tissues and dinosaur bones, like DNA encrypted into the human genome, the fine-tuning argument of the universe that comets aren't, they can't possibly be more than 1 million years old. Like, if it's over and over and over and over and over, you'd think that you'd punt and you'd go, hey, we're wrong. Let's go back to the drawing board. And that's really where I want to go with this. I want to live in a reality that people aren't bound by dogma. I don't want them to be bound by religious dogma or scientific religious dogma. I want people to look at the nature of the universe and be intellectually honest. That's what I'm vying for. Somebody on TikTok says that my religious beliefs. It is not my religious beliefs. I don't have religious beliefs particularly. I have a worldview. I'm not a religious person. Okay. So this evidence that we're looking at today is a little phenomenon that evolutionary biologists do not want to talk about, and they're called living fossils. Have you guys heard the term living fossils? Cool. That's awesome, man. So this guy on TikTok says that he doesn't think science is dogma, but he's willing to listen. That's cool. This might not be as scientific as the last few episodes. We're going to start moving into more of a philosophic interpretation of the information. But anyways, and if please come join us on YouTube. We have a screen share there. You just click on my link, click on Linktree, go to YouTube, and I'm there with a Canon instead of my phone. It's a nicer camera. All right. Living fossils. I asked if anybody heard of it. Cairo says that she has not heard of it. Anybody else? The most violent form of death comes from the hands of a man who just wanted to be left alone. Interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. Okay. Living fossils are animals who marine life in particular is where most of these living fossils are hiding in the depths of the ocean. Where when they started breaking through the stratigraphic layers and looking at the information of fossils buried in sediments, they have strata based on ages, right? So you've got the bottom layer is obviously the oldest, and then the next layer and the next layer up till now, and they have them as lines of eras, right? Everything 400 million years and older, everything 400 to 200 million years, everything 200 million years to 100 million years, so on and so forth. The names of them escape me right now, but whatever. It's not where my headspace is. So what's happened is fossils from way down here at the bottom of it, at the very bottom of the stratigraphic record, fossil record, something that's 400 million years old and should have clearly either extincted itself or evolved. Instead of that happening, they find the creature alive and well today. Alive and well today. And not just alive and well, which doesn't make any sense if it's 400 million years old, in a state of status. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same biologic material, biomachine that existed in strata layers 400 million years ago. Okay. First one we're going to look at is the coelacanth. Coelacanths first appeared during the Devonian period. There's one of your stratigraphic layers. Roughly 400 million years ago, about 170 million years before the dinosaurs. A coelacanth, and this is by the standard science. This is what science believes. This is how it works. And this thing is 400 million years ago. This is a 400 million year old fish that, by Darwinian logic, is dead and gone. Or has since evolved. If it extincted itself, it's gone, whatever, who cares? That didn't work. It didn't evolve its way out of death, right? It managed to, whatever. But if you were to see it today, you would go, cool, well, it's modified itself. It's got new wing-a-ling-a-dings. It's got new gills. It's bigger. It's stronger. It's something. It's 400 million years. Something has changed, right? This is how, if everything is just a product of change, this coelacanth should be a different version than what you would see in the ancient fossil record. As a matter of fact, if you found a coelacanth 2.0 that had clear modifications to it, you'd go, great. Look, evolution in action. It's like that, but it's better, right? There's no one can anyone possibly rationalize the idea that if we are all a product of slight changes that take you from, whatever became a giraffe to whatever became a rhino in the same climate, in the same geographic location, to what, I understand that we're not monkeys according to the theory of evolution, but as we split off however many 100 million years ago, if they went in this direction, we went in this direction, and we're wildly different biologic machines, you would like to think that if you found a coelacanth that was 400 million years old, that it would be different in some marked way, right? It's not. After being found alive, the coelacanth was dubbed a living fossil, a description now shunned by scientists. Why would they shun that? Extinct species. It's a fish species. I'm a biologist. I'm a marine biologist, and we call fish species. Extinct fish species. I haven't opened this up yet, but let's look at it. Extinct fish species or fishes that existed over 420 million years ago, found alive in the Indian Ocean. The coelacanth dates back about 420 million years and was thought to have gone extinct with the dinosaurs. A rare fish species believed to have gone extinct with dinosaurs, according to a report, blah, 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 blah. Coelacanth is also known as the four-legged fossil fish. Recent discovery of the coelacanth. The amazing thing about these fishes, these species, is that they're not just alive, which totally is like, holy shit, how did that happen? It's the same. It's the exact same biological machine as was fossilized 400 million years ago, which means that either they're wrong about the time frame, or that this fish is a perfect biological specimen with no need to evolve. It's done. Win. Evolution win. I win. We all need to watch the seal. Look at the seal. What the hell is the coelacanth doing that's working so well? Because it just stopped. No need. Done. No evolution needed. Can anybody believe that? Can anybody believe this? It's fine. Okay, of course you can believe it. But does it make the most sense? If you were to follow Occam's razor, okay? I'm just going to 2 things here. 3 things. Occam's razor. Once we found out that the DNA molecule was information-based in a highly advanced molecular machine, and then we found out that coelacanths can't evolve, right? They're just what they are. And then soft tissues and dinosaur bones. And carbon-based material can't make it past 50. They don't even try and carbon date after 50,000 years. There's no carbon material left. And these are these are vascular systems, protein structures inside of the bones of dinosaur fossils, 200 million year old bones. Those 3 pieces of evidence. Does it make more sense that the coelacanth doesn't evolve? It's just done. That the molecular machine came from another planet, an alien, i.e. panspermia, and that some weird blood disease infected all dinosaurs. Does that make more sense, or that they're wrong? Seriously, like if you had no skin, everybody has skin in this game. I have skin in the game. I'm very honest about that. I'm very biased about this. I've spent decades researching this from the bias of supporting what I believe, like everybody else does. If you were an AI robot and you were tasked with deducing these 3 points that I made for you, and you ran it through a probability algorithm, what would come out the end of that? Yep, evolution's right. Or we've got it wrong. It's wrong. We got it wrong. We're wrong, and it's okay. You know why? Because we're scientists, and good science can be wrong. You know that? It's okay to be wrong. Hey, if you're in a marriage, if you're a parent and you just screwed up, it's okay to be wrong. Very strong words to say, I was wrong. It's okay. It's okay. I'm wrong. Oh, my producer. Big screen. Gee, read it. Read the big screen. I can't keep leaving this. I got to get this screen share off here. I got to quit doing that. What is it? Read what? Oh, TikTok. Okay. We got a pretty high rate operation here. That is handwritten notes. Tromped in here. We need to up that up. That game has to go to the next level. What am I missing on here? Read TikTok. Voice of Reasons. It was really great. Love finding education content creators for my son. Awesome. Awesome. I do say the word SHIT too much. And I need to not, because for the children. But other than that, it's very, I mean, you can call it wholesome. If you can call questioning the nature of reality and being a conspiracy theorist who fears God and, believes in the Bible and challenges the system wholesome, then I'm your wholesome crazy teacher guy, certified conspiracy crazy teacher guy. Thank you for saying that. God bless you. He's almost 12. Plus, hey, you guys, shit is a good Irish word. I've said it before. That's usually about as far as I go with these words. It's a good one. Don't use the Lord's name in vain. Don't curse. If you guys don't know this, cursing is like, I curse your field I curse your potatoes with a whatever, Blythe. They'll die of potato death, whatever Blythe does. I swear by heaven and the sun and the moon, I will accomplish my will. You're not supposed to do those. It doesn't say in the Bible, don't say shit. But I got him thinking, that's cool. Man, I would like to direct him to some of the stuff. Is he a simulation hypothesis person? Because if he is, that'd be fun for him to research too. Okay, cool. I got distracted. One of them darn robots, AI robots. Seriously though, wouldn't that be like AI robot? Yeah, no, it's just not it's not the path of least resistance. It's not in line with Occam's razor, and I'm a big Occam's razor guy. I want the most simple explanation, and I'm telling you, as well as I've deduced this with hundreds and hundreds of hours of this research, the most plausible explanation for this reality is that we're in a designed order. I lean that we're in an information-based reality, that it's information first, just like how DNA is the information that creates our molecular machinery. I think that we're in an information-based reality. And I think that lines up with scripture. And I think that the Torah is the operating system. I think it's the source code that creates this reality. I digress. I think that's the most simple explanation. And I said to the guy last night, it's like, why is it such a problem? Why is there being a creator a problem? And the answer is people have religious trauma, which I totally get. I have it. And for that reason, I do not subscribe to religion proper, or they don't want to be held accountable for their actions. Okay? Well, if it turns out that all of the rules are for your good, it's not a bad thing to try to follow the rules, right? What am I talking about? Okay. So the coelacanth, if you guys didn't know about living fossils, now you do. They're perfectly intact fossils that should be 400 million years old and have just won the game of evolution and just swim down there and laugh at Darwin while they do it. It was a coelacanth laughing at Darwin down there. Clearly is what that was. Okay. Next slide. Window. Is it in here that I want to show this? It is. Okay. Why the phenomenon of living fossils is under massive attack. This is evolution news. If you've ever encountered a horseshoe crab on the beach, you were looking at a creature that would not have appeared out of a place of 100 million. Looking at a creature that would not have appeared out of place. There we go. I put an extra A in there. Out of place hundreds of millions of years ago. Anthropods, breathtakingly similar to this, as paleontologist Gunter Beckley, I wonder if we're related, go back almost 500 million years without significant morphological change. And you really have to let this number sink in. 500 million years without significant, which is actually without any morphological change. You got a lot of problems. If evolution happens this statically. 13.8 billion years isn't nearly enough. If you study guys like Stephen Meyer and James Tour, they have borderline proven that 13.8 billion years isn't enough time to get the radical kinds of change and speciation that we have. It's for 500 million years, whatever they say, 2 billion, however long they say, that you would need tens of billions of years and a hell of a lot of luck. And yeah, there's no chance. It's just never going to happen. It's not going to happen. So okay. Yes, you do. On a new ID feature episode, Hosera Shafi texts Beckley about the challenge posed to Darwinian gradualism by animals that manifestly don't change. A phenomenon that Darwin himself grappled with. Listen to the podcast here. Sansa's empirical refutations of traditional evolutionary theory. That is one reason their very existence is coming under a massive attack. The thing is, like, I was talking to the guy last night, it's just people come in and they say it's fact. And like, you just haven't done the research. You say it's fact because you went through this education system and you came out the other side a formed intellectual shape. And that is formed in the shape of believing in evolution. Okay. And that's really the next thing I want to get into. Here's more living fossils. There's a bunch of them, by the way. It's not just coelacanths. It's all these weirdos. Okay. I shouldn't call them weirdos. They're kind of weird, though. The Cambrian explosion. I don't have time to get into this today, but the Cambrian explosion is unbelievable. You have so much diversity and speciation in such a short amount of time in things like the Burgess Shale. You just can't explain it. Like, there's this quote, this Chinese evolutionist, evolutionary biologist was talking to Stephen Meyer, and the Chinese biologist said in a lecture, he goes, we're having to really rethink evolution because it's not looking great right now. It's the odds aren't in our favor mathematically. It just doesn't look good. And somebody questioned from the audience. He goes, "Well, you're from China. How can that's a really like? Can you say that in China? Can you say like you have a kind of authoritarian government?" And he goes, "In China, you can't question the government, but you can question evolution. And in America, you can question the government, but you can't question evolution." I hope I got that right. But yeah, Cambrian explosion is a whole other study. I could do an hour on that. Did whales walk on land? National Geographic magazine did a wonderful article. Wonderful. We didn't really applaud them on the evolution of whales and addresses exact question. Basically, the article states that about 65 million years ago, the ancestor of the whales walked on land and was related to modern day horses and cows. Does anybody believe that cows are related to whales and horses and cows are related to whales? Does anybody believe that? Okay. Recent molecular data. Okay. I wanted to, but I ran out of time. Research what their molecular data is. I guarantee you it's biased and subjective and manipulable. But recent molecular data has indicated that whales' closest living relative on land is the hippo. Right? It's that surprising. However, they think that hippos and whales began diverging, evolving from one another about 63 million years ago. A lot can happen in 63 million years, unless you're a coelacanth. Am I right? Nothing happens for 450 million years. But in this scenario, in 63 million years, you go from hippo to whale. Science. In addition to molecular evidence indicating that whales evolved from land-dwelling ancestors, go to your local museum and look at any whale skeleton. You'll see two tiny sets of bones on either side of the backbone near the rear of the animal. These sets of bones are what is left of the whale's hind legs and feet! Exclamation point. And feet! We're so happy we found it! These sets of bones are called vestigial hind limbs. We covered this a couple days ago. That's not at all what they are. They're pelvic bones. They're a physical anatomical structure for the reproductive organs of the whale. And science even goes, well, we were wrong. Turns out that holds the whale penis out. Can you say whale penis? Has anybody ever said that word? And if you didn't, because you can imagine it's probably a sizable organ. Is it an organ? It needs a structure. And so the hind limbs are actually just the support for that. And evolutionists go, yeah, of course that's what happens because evolution repurposed it, because evolution is sentient. Insanity. Yes. Wait, what is this? UCSB Science Line. Good. We can talk about them in a second. Yes, this is actually true. It sounds a little bit unreal, but of course, these whales looked quite differently from the whales we know nowadays. Scientists study bones and fossils to find out how life has evolved here on the Earth. That's at least they're true there. Scientists study bones and fossils to find out how life has evolved here on Earth. They look at bones and fossils to try to justify this fairy tale. This means I get in trouble for believing my fairy tale of the Bible. This is a fairy tale. Well, whales turning into hippos and vice versa. This means they like to draw family trees. They like to draw family trees. Scientists study bones and fossils to find out how life has evolved on Earth. This means they like to draw family trees of the major animal. This is ridiculous. Okay, it's all nonsense. Whatever. Okay, moving on. So a second ago here we were talking about science, right? This is UCSB Science Line. Well, who are these scientists, right? Who are these scientists that are making these great discoveries that like to draw these scientists that like to draw family trees? Where did they come from? Most scientific how is science funded? I Googled and I'm pretty sure I spelled that terribly. Okay, there's dyslexia for you. Most scientific research is funded by government grants. An example given from the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes of Health, and companies doing research and development and nonprofit foundations. That sounds fairly innocuous, right? In September 2016, Facebook co-founder and billionaire Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan announced an exceedingly ambitious plan to cure, prevent, and manage all diseases by the end of the century. Zuckerberg and Chan pledged $3 billion to be disbursed to the Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative. Got to keep refreshing this because I'm not going to sign up for their thing. The charitable foundation they had launched the year before. With that announcement, CZI joined the ranks of a handful of other philanthropic mega donors pumping cash into biomedical research labs. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, for example, has devoted more than $40 billion to research on malaria and other infectious diseases. Okay, so we got Zuckerberg and Gates. They're funding science. That seems legit. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious, right? Let's see what's next. Bill and Melinda Gates National Science Foundation. NSF and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will each provide $24 million over 5 years. Okay, good. So science is funded by the government and the NSF and charitable donors. A major donor that has provided the capital infrastructure for science as we know it has been everybody's favorite, Jay-Z's favorite, Rockefeller. Rockefeller donated an initial $1 million to its cause. The family would eventually give over $180 million to fund the General Election Board, or Education Board, sorry, the General Education Board. The GEB provided major funding for schools across the nation, was very influential in shaping the current school system. Who funded this? John D. Rockefeller. Well, this is gold. This is gold. This is what makes me a conspiracy theorist, theologian, philosopher. It all ties together. Rockefeller. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. This is starting to become clear. This is becoming a little bit clearer. Okay. So science, the golden calf of controlling the information stream of the narrative of our reality, everything, what we think, what we do, how we take care of ourselves, what we believe, everything. These people are the priests of the religion of science. These people are the ones who are forming your worldview. Okay? I cannot state this any clearer. The individual I talked about at the beginning of the show that took this to stay with the military and is now denying that what happened to him where he almost died was because of it. This decision was made because of John D. Rockefeller and Bill and Melinda Gates and Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg's later in that one. I mean, he's just whatever. They're all like, yeah, let's throw money in there. Because check this out. If we give all of our money to these education systems and these science systems, if we give all of this money to fund education and science, we get to write it off as a tax write-off, and we get to do a good thing. And the good thing that they're doing is bringing you the reality that you're experiencing. These people know how subjective reality is. And they know that what you believe about your reality will result in how you live your life, how sick you are, how happy you are. What you believe about your reality is going to determine your outcome. You know what else they know? That this whole theory is full of shit. Top down. They don't. This is why I get so frustrated when somebody comes on and goes, "It's a fact, and you're stupid. How many degrees do you have?" They know that this theory doesn't make sense. They don't care if it makes sense. I've shown Haeckel's work and Darwin's eugenics. I've shown all these different things. It's not about the truth. It's about spinning a believable narrative for you to look through the schema of your worldview to perceive and act in your reality. You believe that disease is coming and you just better have health insurance because when it comes, you're dead. And that's not what it is. 70% of all successful medical treatments, including surgery, are due to the placebo effect. 70%. You heal yourself. Your body heals yourself. God made you with an immune system to heal yourself. Your body is a brand new body every 7 years. Your DNA takes the information that is your entity and rebuilds it all the way through. Your bone marrow, your bones, you're entirely a different. Can you understand that? In 7 years' time, which I feel like the Bible talks about 7 years and weeks of years and Sabbath years and all of these kind of ties in with the year 7, forgiving debts or whatever, all these different kind of things. In 7 years, your body is entirely remade from organic material through what you ingest and what you experience and your DNA creating your reality. And you probably don't even believe me when I tell you that because it's the craziest thing I've ever said. It's not true. I've said a lot of crazy things. Your bones. My bones are different bones than the ones I had when I was 37. It's just how it works. Just how it works. Deal with it. Your reality is complicated. And you think these people don't know that. They do. They do know that. And then when something like this comes along, giant human skeletons, those look like skeletons now that I'm reading it phonetically. Mystery may have been unveiled. This is this last year. Researchers have been trying to figure out what could explain the giant-sized human skeletons found in China. Well, maybe we know that answer is found. It's about food, access to food, so they grew bigger or whatever. It's nonsense. Nonsense, I say. How about if you come across giant skeletons, you go, wow, maybe we're wrong. Maybe 5,000 years ago, there were giants running around, and we're not cavemen. All right, that was just a little side. That was the last note I had on that. Here's what I need to show you guys, though. The people, the Rockefeller, Gates, Zuckerberg group, they know about this reality. They know how it works. But it does not behoove them and their plan of control to tell you that you are in a user-defined reality, that you define your reality based on what you believe and what you think and what you do, which is what Yeshua talks about constantly, in my opinion, anyways. So when something like this comes along and we hear this, you guys are going to struggle with this information. This is 5 minutes long. It's called the Wigner thought experiment, or the Wigner's paradox. It has to do with quantum physics. I'll actually summate it before I share the screen. The idea is that they started taking the idea of us collapsing particles based on our consciousness to absurdum. Schrodinger's cat dealt with this. Wigner said, well, if it's entirely subjective and interpretable and I collapse the wave, can someone else collapse a separate wave in the same instance? Like, that'd be crazy, right? It was a theory. They did it recently, and they've broken science. It's done. Science is broke. It's broken bad. And anyone who wants to say, this is proven, that's proven, best you can say is we have no idea what in the world's going on. It doesn't make any sense. That's the best you could say. Okay. 5 minutes, you guys. Enjoy this.
At its core, science is a philosophy of objective observation of our natural world. The scientific method relies on the presentation of facts. Facts that are established by experiment and measurement. These measurements are agreed upon universally and are independent of the observer. But in 1961, the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Eugene Wigner conceptualized a thought experiment revealing a little-known paradox of quantum mechanics. Wigner's thought experiment demonstrated a strange quirk of the universe. It allows for two observers to experience two realities from the same event. Though it draws upon several principles of quantum mechanics, Wigner's thought experiment is relatively simple. It's based on a quantum measurement of a physical system. In our example, we'll use the polarization of a single photon. Polarization is a property of photons that, when measured, can be described linearly as being either horizontal or vertical. However, in quantum mechanics, until that measurement is made, the photon exists in both polarization states at the same time. This is known as a superposition. The collapse of a superposition into a known state is a fundamental quantum principle illustrated famously by the double-slit experiment. In the double-slit experiment, an electron beam is projected through two slits, creating a wave-like interference pattern over time. Once a measurement device is placed in front of one of the slits, probing the electron, the interaction of the measurement device with the electron causes the wave to collapse into a defined electron path. In Wigner's thought experiment, he envisions a friend working in a separate laboratory from his own. His friend is tasked with measuring the polarization state of a single photon and recording the result. To an observer outside of the lab, the friend's measurement is a unitary interaction that leaves the photon and the friend's record in an entangled state. The recorded state and the polarization state of the photon are in effect the same information. Wigner himself can observe the experiment, though he's provided no information about his friend's measurement or the recorded outcome. Without this information, and with no means of interacting with the photon, quantum mechanics forces him to assume that the photon's polarization is in a superposition of all possible states. When Wigner finally asks his friend to read him the recorded measurement, from his perspective, the superposition state of the photon now collapses into a single polarization state. Wigner and his friend's record now both share the same polarization state information as that of his friend's measurement. This creates a curious implication. During the period of time when Wigner is forced to view the photon as being in a superposition, his friend views the same photon as having a defined state. But since both points of view must be regarded as equally valid, this is where an apparent paradox comes into play. When exactly did the collapse of the photon superposition occur? Was it when the friend had finished his measurement, or when the information of his result entered Wigner's consciousness? This paradox potentially creates a rift in the foundation of science itself, calling into question the nature of measurement. Can objective facts even exist? Scientists carry out experiments to establish objective facts, but if they experience different realities, how can they agree on what these facts might be? Wigner's thought experiment was put to the test by a team of physicists at Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh, with the results being published in February.
All right, guys. Number one, great chat. Sorry I couldn't be involved earlier, but I just love watching you guys talk. You brilliant people. God bless you. Number two, are you guys digging what I'm laying down here. Picking up what I'm laying down? Is that how that saying goes? Chloe gives me a hard time for getting these sayings wrong. Euphemisms, whatever they're called. Do you guys see what they're doing here? They're saying we know that the particle is in a state of superposition over here. How did I? Yeah. Here we go. We know that the particle is in a state of superposition over here. Don't tell me what it says yet. All right, I've seen it. I know what it is. The data is coming to the person. Is it going to say the same thing? And what happened in that in-between time? Okay, you understood it with a single observer. This scenario lost you. Okay, you're smelling what I'm stepping in. I'm going to put that back in there so Shadow can see it. And then what I really want you to think about is what he just said at the end. This means that, and this is the point that I really want to make with you guys. This means that if the observer is creating his outcome based on his belief system, based on his worldview, then can you actually do science? Because everybody's going to find out the thing that validates and supports their worldview. This is what this study is saying. So I'm going to go back just a little bit so you can see this again, Shadow.
Paradox comes into play. When exactly did the collapse of the photon superposition occur? Was it when the friend had finished his measurement, or when the information of his result entered Wigner's consciousness?
So you're following to this point, right? So what this is saying is that it's collapsed for person A, but person B, it has not collapsed yet because the information hasn't gotten to them yet. Okay. And thirdly, what is the collapse going to mean? Is it possible that it can collapse for this guy and be vertical, and it's not decided yet because this guy doesn't have the information yet? And is it possible by the time this guy observes the same incident that it's not vertical, it's horizontal? We don't know. It's in a state of superposition. How crazy would it be if the same event happened here? This guy saw it and it was vertical. This guy was waiting for the information. In his reality, it had already happened. It was vertical. In this reality, it was in a state of superposition. What if when this guy looked at it, it was horizontal? That means that the same incident, the same instance had two outcomes, and that the user defined it. Hopefully I explained that correctly.
This paradox potentially creates a rift in the foundation of science itself, calling into question the nature of measurement. Can objective facts even exist? Scientists carry out experiments to establish objective facts, but if they experience different realities, how can they agree on what these facts might be? Wigner's thought experiment was put to the test by a team of physicists at Heriot-Watt University in Edinburgh, with the results being published in February 2019. The experiment tested for the validity of observer independence at the quantum level, similarly using photon polarization. Using an extended variant of Wigner's friend scenario, the results of that experiment lends considerable strength to Wigner's thought experiment and interpretations of quantum theory that are observer-dependent. This view of reality questions if observers have the freedom to make whatever observations they want. It also brings locality into question. Locality limits an object to only being directly influenced by its immediate surroundings. It prevents interactions at a distance. Several counter-arguments have been proposed against the paradox created by Wigner's experiment. The most obvious counterpoints are those of flaws in assumptions made with the experiment itself. Some have proposed that a privileged position as an ultimate observer encompassing the entire experiment would be able to reconcile the paradox by viewing the experiment from a larger worldview. Others have suggested that conscious observation without interaction do not count as observation, therefore no paradox is created. Some interpretations have even speculated that the observation is personalized due to the information available to the observer, and that there is no paradox created, just missing information. To date, no framework of quantum mechanics offer a full explanation for the implications of Wigner's thought experiment, and with experimental evidence edging closer to undermining the idea of observer-independent objective reality, the fundamental assumptions of science itself may be in danger.
Did you guys hear that last line? That's an amazing deduction, Amber. I'm going to award you an honorary point because of how ahead of the curve you were with that. Michael, everything you're saying about how this relates to scripture is so important. This is one of the reasons why I think the Bible is valid, is that I believe the Bible is a quantum physical. I'm not being woo-woo here. I think that what you talked about with Yeshua It's very much in line with this creating a reality as a man thinks, so he is. This last line here, what Amber just said, reality is subjective, is exactly the point that I'm getting to here. Listen to this again.
And that there is no paradox created, just missing information. To date, no framework of quantum mechanics offer a full explanation for the implications of Wigner's thought experiment, and with experimental evidence edging closer to undermining the idea of observer-independent objective reality,
Experiments getting closer to undermining the idea of observer-independent objective reality. Science is getting very close to just dismissing the entire idea of observer-independent objective reality. Yes, reality is subjective. That's entirely possible. That's entirely on the board, Amber. And if this is the case, Amy, listen, so one last time.
the fundamental assumptions of science itself may be in danger.
The fundamental assumptions of science itself may be in danger. Okay. That's a lot. Here's your red pill. Enjoy it. I munch red pills. Okay. This isn't news to the Luciferian elites, okay? Lucifer was involved in creation. I don't know if it was I don't know if it's a simulation exactly. I don't know what it is, but Lucifer understands the inner workings. I believe he was around when it happened. He understands the cheat codes. He has been arming the elites. What I'm going to tell you guys is so important. The elites succeed and control our reality because of the feedback loop of the information that they're getting from the fallen angels and Lucifer that tell them the hacks and the cheat codes on how reality actually works. So they're playing by a set of rules that is lined up with how reality actually works, and simultaneously teaching you the antithesis to this, rendering you inert. That's too much. And you try to tell somebody this, and they say evolution's a fact, and I'm stupid. Okay? That's fine if you want to say I'm stupid. That's fine. I've been called a lot worse. But you've been lied to. And the group that is lying to you is laughing literally all the way to the bank. And your ignorance, your refusal to come to grips with the reality that you've been lied to about your existence keeps you in a perpetual state of servitude to the system designed to keep you entrapped. These are the minds of the people we are trying to free. They're so helplessly inert or independent on the system. The Matrix. Oh, that's how you spell it. Woman in the red dress. This is a good time for this. I know I've said this. I've shown this multiple times. Oh, cool. Somehow I'm over here now. Oh. Listen to this. Quietly, I guess.
The Matrix is a system, Neo.
The Matrix is a system, Neo.
That system is our enemy.
That system is our enemy.
Inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
That's my one
You have to
disagree.
understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
I know I've showed that before, but many of them, these are the minds of the people we are trying to save. And many of them are so helplessly dependent, so inert, that they will fight to defend the system that entraps them. And so when I'm having this discussion with an individual, trying to explain this to them, and they're fighting me, they can't handle it. They can't handle the truth. I should pull up that message from A Few Good Men. Red TikToks. Science is subjective. Okay, so now next level was I've got about 10 minutes. Queen, when I get done with this, my hair is really goofy tonight. I got a goat's head. So when I get done with this, I'm gonna jump over and I'll interact with you guys on TikTok. So hang tight and I'll answer your questions, okay? If you want to stick around. I like it. Okay. So now that we've looked at who's funding the science, how science is funded, how education is funded, how this in literal programming and indoctrination occurs. Let's look at their second level agenda. There's just defeating the information of the God of the Bible. That's a major part of this, right? You can't believe in the Bible. You can't believe in God's creation. You can't believe in Adam and Eve. You can't believe in the flood. You can't believe in Jesus. You can't believe in these things. If you do, you're a maniac. This is why I moved to Maine. This is what they're pushing, their primary objective, right? Their primary objective is to discredit God of the Bible. That's the primary objective. The secondary objective is to keep you a slave in the system and to get you to not understand your reality. If you really grew up knowing that a reality was subjective and how you perceived your reality is how it would happen, and that you could heal your body by how you believe, and you could be successful by how you believe, and you could whatever. You think you just accept some menial crap white collar job that's going to kill you from stress? No. Some mortgage that you're going to pay 3 times or 2 times what you actually bought the house for? No. You would do things differently, but they needed to convince you of this reality. Pure scientific materialism, and you're an animal. That's what they had to do. That's a secondary level. The tertiary layer of this information is what I'm about to show you. And it's the end. It's the end game. This is what will cause the end of the world. This is what is going to bring God's judgment on the earth. I say that with 100% confidence that God isn't going to judge the earth because man sins. We've always sinned. Okay? I'm not pro sin. Sin is a self-destruction sequence. The times that God has judged the world, it's because we've ventured out. We've left the parameters of the rules of the game and ventured into a intentionally God-defiant repurposing of this reality at a molecular level, at a philosophic level. The disparity from what God intended to what is happening is so great that God has no choice but to hit reset. Buy us a few more 1,000 years before we can start over and recapitulate this thing. What did Haeckel say? Recapitulation, whatever, ontology, whatever that whole statement is. This thing just recapitulates itself. It just happens again and again and again. And if you wiped man out today, it would take 2,000 years or 4,000 years, whatever the amount of time it takes for us to get here. We would get here, and God would go, I'm done. Start over. And this is where we're going. And it's a twofold intention. It's a combination of transhumanism and leaving the analog reality, digital analog, whatever the reality actually is, but going into a virtual world inside of the virtual world, a Luciferian created synthetic evil man is God, a repurposing simulation inside of the simulation. Transhumanism is the belief or theory that the human race can evolve beyond its current physical and mental limitations, especially by means of science and technology. See if I can make this bigger for you guys. I'm gonna make a t-shirt that says that transhumanism is bad. That's funny how that's worded. the belief or theory that the human race can evolve beyond its current physical and mental limitations, especially by means of science and technology. Transhumanism. Oh, there's your logo for it. Transhumanism is a philosophical movement. VOR is philosophy, theology, and conspiracy, because you have to have all three components. You can't just be a conspiracy theorist. You can't just be a philosopher. You can't just be a theologian. You have to marry all three. It's a braid. If you marry the three of them, you can get a clear picture. Transhumanism is a philosophical movement, the proponents of which advocate and predict are for and are going to see through the enhancement of the human condition by developing and making widely available sophisticated technologies able to greatly enhance longevity, mood, and cognitive abilities. Okay. I'm not going to go too far into it. If you don't know transhumanism, I'll do a series on it. What are the benefits of it? Let's see. Disability, suffering, disease, aging, involuntary death as undesirable. Reduce the effects of it. Look at these pictures. Like this is their whole thing. It's if you look at these pictures that I'm showing you and you don't get a feeling, like a off feeling in your stomach, you need to question why. This should give you the same. You should be as repelled to this as when you hear about necromancy or pedophilia. This is the same kind of guttural disdain you should have for this. And if you think this is okay, you're gone. You're already gone. Welcome to the area of trans. It's just going to be designer humans. They're going to get rid of birth. They're going to get rid of analog birth. You're going to design your children through CRISPR technology. There's going to be no gender. There's going to be no natural order. You're going to be probably fed gruel intravenously as you're plugged into a VR system, existing some human analog hybridization reality, which when Yeshua said, as it was in the days of Noah, this is partly what he meant. I almost want to say this is what he meant, but he meant multiple things. There's multiple levels. But one of the levels is that man is going to be craving this ascent into godhood so strongly that they start tampering with what it means to be human, which is where we went off in the first place. Okay. So this reminds me of a certain individual, and I had a hard time finding what I wanted to find here through my confirmation bias, but we've seen this before, and it's the story of Nimrod, which begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one on the earth. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. If you go back to, it's either Hebrew or when it was translated into Greek, I don't remember which part of it, but began to become a giant is a Gibhorim, and it's the same term as the Nephilim. It's a non-human estate. It's a non-human. It's not 100% human. Through some kind of technology, whatever Nimrod was doing at the Tower of Babel, where he was trying to open up a fissure between this dimension and the dimension where God is, because he wanted to kill God. If you don't know the oral tradition, Nimrod didn't just want to go say, God, we made it. High five, bro. I'm in your reality now. He wanted to kill God. Okay, that was Nimrod's goal. And in this science and technology thing that he was doing, he was becoming one. I don't know what that means. I imagine he was hooked up to some computers, getting fed AI information and changing his molecular structure or something. Pure speculation, but yeah, that's kind of think where I was. That's where that was going. And God's like, oh, again, with these kids, how do I reach these kids? He had mercy on them and he dispersed them. He broke them up and they went off into the world. And now they just tell the same pagan story of Nimrod and Semiramis over and over. And you drink the Starbucks and you hail allegiance to the Statue of Liberty, who was also her. And you just live in a Babylonian system. Nimrod is the king of this world system still. And he was doing this through some sort of science and technology. And if you do your research, Nimrod is the first Freemason. He's the father of Freemasonry too, about hiding this information in treasure chests of, sycophant psychos who are willing to do whatever they can to get to the top, including making a deal with the devil and getting access to this information. And they're building the infrastructure. This is the infrastructure. And you wouldn't have bought this thing about evolution and becoming a transhuman if you didn't believe in evolution already. Okay? This is the end, you guys. This is where this ends for us. Okay? And it's coming. If you guys know James Corbett, he's one of my favorite content creators. I haven't really been consuming other content creators, but material, I guess. I'm just really careful. I don't eat content creators. But he did he's doing a series, or he did a series on transhumanism. It's like 4 hours, and it's hard to listen to with the stuff that they're doing. Total slave state, total dependency on the system. It's not good. Not good where it's going. Okay. Catch up on this really quick. Social engineers, farm bugmen, consumers, but we can metamorphosize over a long time. Yep. Awesome. Hey guys. More towards God's leaning, God's voice. I got too many texts here. I'm sure it's all good though, you guys. Sorry. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you is the matrix inside of the matrix idea. So transhumanism is the idea of repurposing God's genetic order, what it means to be human, what it means, whatever. They're going to modify everything. And then the final straw, I think, in this is going to be what Zuckerberg is pushing. And if you haven't seen this, everybody knows there's something really bad about this. Everybody knows. Everybody's talking about this. And Meta, the name Meta, everything about this is bad. Let me see if I can find the part that I want to do. I wanted to find the one where they were all in. Where they were all in.
Who we are and what we hope to build, I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta. Our mission remains the same. It's still about bringing people together. Our apps and their brands, they're not changing either. And we are still the company that designs technology around people. Hey, and welcome to Connect.
Wow, DJ.
Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse, starting with the most important experience of all, connecting with people.
I gotta stop, you guys. Look at how happy he is that he's created his own universe, this sicko. He's so happy. You guys understand that this is why Lucifer left heaven. He didn't want to do it God's way. He wanted to be God. They're getting it. Introducing the metaverse. I haven't looked into it. I guarantee you the name, the logo, I know it's all Luciferian. I just know. I haven't looked into it at all, though. Oh, we had to change our name. We're going to be still Facebook, but we're also this other this to me is like the villain in like a sci-fi movie. Like him showing you his plans. This is what this feels like to me. Like you've seen it before, The Incredibles. That's a sci-fi movie, but whatever the show is. This is what we're going to do. It's going to be this thing. And this exactly is like the nefarious evil person showing you his totally convoluted psychopathic plan for humanity. The metaverse. Look at how happy he is.
Starting with the most important experience of all, connecting with people. Imagine you put on your glasses or headset and you're instantly in your home space. It has parts of your physical home recreated virtually. It has things that are only possible virtually. And it has an incredibly inspiring view of whatever you find most beautiful.
wherever you find the most beautiful.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah, just gotta find something to wear. All right, perfect.
Oh, hey, Mark.
Hey, what's going on?
Hi.
Mark. What's up, Mark?
Whoa,
They're
we're
all in
floating in
space.
space? Who made this place? It's awesome.
Right? It's from a creator I met in LA.
This place is...
It's from a creator I met in LA. Like this, I've been okay with saying that I'm a content creator. You know, the idea being that God is the creator and I'm creating content, but like I don't even want to go by the term content creator anymore. It's a creator I met in LA. Like we're all creators. We create. Ugh.
amazing.
Boz, is that you?
Of course it's me. You know I had to be the robot, man.
I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
Whoa.
I knew you were bluffing.
Hey, wait. Where is Naomi?
Let's call her.
Naomi.
Oh, that mark on his hand. That's funny.
Hey, should we deal you in?
Hey, sorry I'm running late, but you gotta see what we're checking out. There's an artist going around Soho hiding AR pieces for people to find.
3D street art? That's cool.
Send that link over so we can all look at it.
All right.
This is
Who cares?
stunning.
I don't want to watch this nonsense anymore. But that's where we're going. We're going into an entirely repurposed reality. Reality is subjective, and they created this reality. They work for their father, the devil, and he wants to be God, and he's trying to get rid of God's order and elevate himself to God, and he's using all of these maniacs, and they're winning the information war, unfortunately. So action items, I would just say you can take God seriously. You can believe the Bible. We're watching it unfold in real time, just like it said it was going to happen. And unless God has mercy on us, these guys are going to run us straight off the cliff of God's ability to tolerate this any longer. So I need you to, I want to leave on this. I want you to know that it's too late probably for us as far as us having any meaningful revelation. Obviously, you know, a lot of us are waking up and believing that we've been lied to. But if you have children, like you have to give them a chance to really believe in whatever this reality is, like base reality, not the synthetic version that Zuckerberg and Gates and Rockefeller and, you know, whatever, Schwab and Soros and all these people that have brought you. You've got to, I understand people have jobs. We've got to all make money. There was a TikTok guy who showed a painting of a world split in half, and a group of people trying to get more into nature and a group of people going more into the machine. These people want us in the machine, and we got to get out. We got to get out. We got to reorient and focus on God of the Bible and an organic reality, you know, family, friends, farming, if you can do it, some sort of iteration of what God intended. You got to try to be in that. I don't know what that means for you individually. I don't know what you can do. But taking steps away from further complicity and trying to get back to some semblance of what our ancestors experienced, because it's changed so fast. It's hard to believe that it's changed this much this fast, and the last year has sure been a catalyst. So don't believe the hype, in the words of my boy Flavor Flav. Think critically. Gobble red pills. Serve God, I guess. It's just not doing what we've done to get to this point isn't working. And if we continue going down this path, it's only going to get worse. So let's stand up for God, for the beauty of the created order that he intended. Let's try to oppose. Maybe it's, you know, not being fully immersed in 3D VR. I mean, I know personally I have no I'm like totally, my spirit's totally against getting into VR, even though I would probably really like it. Like maybe it's little decisions like that. Maybe it's trying to sell your apartment or get out of your apartment and move to the country if you can. Maybe it's not taking this, or maybe it's taking your kids out of school, or maybe it's whatever, steps. We have to object. We can't keep consenting to this, because it's going in a really, like, dude, James Cameron tried to warn us with Terminator and we didn't listen. Everybody tried to warn us. Like how many science fiction, Blade Runner and The Fifth Element, I mean, all of these things warn us of this kind of reality that's coming. And I pray that we have the strength to stand for God and not just live in Mark's transhumanist metaverse. I don't know. The end. That's been a 6-part series on scientism. All parts are important. If you guys have missed any of them, I don't expect anybody to have 10, 11, 12 hours sitting around, but we've covered from the Big Bang to the Big Crunch, right? That's what they say how this is going to end. Well, here comes the Big Crunch. Thanks, Mark. You know what would have been fine? Mario. Natural foods. Immunity, natural immunity, those things would be fine. I'd be fine with that. But nope, not enough. They're of their father Nimrod, and they're becoming a Gib Horim right in front of our eyes. And I refuse to take part. Yeah. So check it out. Check out the series if you want to. There's some pretty good apologetic stuff in here. I'm going to jump over to TikTok for the after party. We can discuss the whole series if you guys want to come over there. There's 26 people on YouTube. That's awesome, you guys. Thank you. Hopefully you're subscribed. Hopefully, let me get this window shared. Get this turned down a little bit. Oh, sweet. Now I'm over here again. 2 Estras. I'm not studying that, just so you guys know. Okay, so a couple things action item wise. If you guys aren't in, wow, if I turn the volume down, oh, it's just not the volume. There we go. If you guys aren't subscribed, please subscribe. If you're not following me on TikTok, please follow me on TikTok. Making new content. I'm going to keep doing this. Next week, we're going to do a series that's going to be how the system is repurposing male, female, child, not even male, female, mother, father, child, the whole system that God had planned versus what they're doing to it. So we're going to cover that a little bit. I'm also going to do a series on education. That's coming up. And yeah, we're just going to keep rolling as long as God keeps the doors open. So I appreciate you guys. Cool, guys. Yeah, jump over to TikTok and we'll do a Q&A if you guys want to do that. Love you guys. YouTube and transmission. Thank you guys. Love you.